I want to actually show you where I started. So it was January 23rd, 2019 is when I started this account. So today I want to do a review of M1 Finance after using it for about almost 3 full years. So instead of just like talking about it, I actually want to take you onto the platform myself and show you the desktop version and some of the functionalities that I absolutely love when it comes to this platform, and maybe some of the downsides when it comes to using it, because no platform is perfect, and I think we all know that. Now, as we go through this, if you end up loving it and want to sign up, I will have a link for them in the show notes down below. They always give my audience a nice little bonus, anywhere from 30 to 50, sometimes even a little bit more when it comes to the sign up bonus, but it also helps support out the channel so you get all the free content just like this. Now, if you stick around till the end, I will actually link up a video series so you can actually learn how to set up your account that looks just like mine if you want to use this platform. So let's go ahead and hop onto the computer so I can show you in real time what this all looks like. So this is my portfolio. This is what it looks like. I want to actually show you where I started. So it was January 23rd, 2019 is when I started this account. I actually just wanted to open up an account to do a review on it a couple of years ago, and I ended up falling in love with this, and I want to show you why. And again, I'll tell you some of the downsides of this too, because it's not a perfect app just like anything else. Now, M1 Finance, I would say through and through, is one of the best when it comes to focusing on long-term and dividends. Now, the reason those are important for me is because that's the type of investor I like to be. I like to focus long-term, and I like to focus on dividends a little bit as well. You can see the name, it's called Dividend Dennis. So kind of goes hand in hand there for us. So what are some of the things that I love? So first and foremost is the setup of my account. So this right over here is what they call our pie. So you can see all of our information here. You can see our total. You can see our total gains here. And I'm going to go over these numbers because some people don't like it. So I want to explain that. But you can see all of our pies, and then right over here, or our overall pie, I should say, and then all of our slices are over here on the side. Now, this is something you can do. You don't necessarily have to. This actually helps me just keep my stuff organized in different sectors, as well as things that I just want to have set aside myself. So I have like tech, I have growth, retail, industries and energy put together. I have real estate, and I have finance. And one of the things that I love most about this is this helps me keep everything in balance, so that way one stock or one group of stocks don't overweigh the majority of my overall portfolio. And what I mean by that is maybe certain stocks are doing really, really well, so I don't want to be putting as much money into them. And that's what this target and actual section right over here is all about. And this is a huge part of how M1 Finance works. It's fantastic. You set a target that you want your pie to be, like 23% for my tech pie. And if it goes over that, it's not going to invest as much in the future when you're doing deposits. And if it's well under, it's going to invest more. And that typically means that when stocks are down in a certain sector, you're actually buying in at a better value than if it were doing really, really well and trying to buy in at that same time. M1 Finance kind of lets you get everything set and forget, so you don't have to worry about those kind of things happening. And it's a really, really nice feature. Now, inside of these slices right over here, if you actually click on them, they actually do have multiple stocks in them. Anywhere from 2 to 4 stocks is typically what I have in each one. So for retail, you can see I have Home Depot, Ross, Costco, and Starbucks. And so each of these actually have their own actual and target funds or target percentages as well. So not only does my sector get it, but then also the individual stocks get it as well. So this helps me really manage everything all together without having to stress on it on a daily basis. Again, for some people, that's not going to be too big of a worry, but for me personally, I just like having everything set to a certain percentage. Now, you can always change these in real time if you wanted to. The nice thing is it doesn't automatically buy or sell things. You can actually do that with a rebalance, which would be right over here. Now, if you're somebody like myself, I like investing and then just letting kind of M1 Finance do its thing, where if I make a deposit, it'll split my money based off of those percentages. You can also buy it into individual stocks if you wanted to. So if for some reason you wanted to buy into, let's say, Tesla individually, you can go ahead and just buy into that stock all by itself. You don't have to worry about anything else. Speaking of the stocks all by themselves, they do have their position information here. So you can see how many shares you have, the average price, how much it cost you. And then if you ended up wanting to do margin, because M1 Finance does offer margin, you can see right over here the information you need to go based off of that. Now, they do have just some basic information when it comes to the market. You can go into more detail here, but I usually encourage people just to use other apps. The details on here are not very thorough in comparison to something like seekingalpha.com, which is something that I absolutely love using when it comes to reading more about these companies and getting all the proper information. But Nonetheless, still great overall. Now, one thing I also really love about M1 Finance that some people might not like as much is their information right over here on total gains and returns. Now, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit of a downturn in the market, so these numbers are actually a little bit lower than we've seen just in recent times. But this information right here is what they call money-weighted returns. So this right over here actually gives us a full pretty much overall view of how much you've actually earned, whether you pulled some of that money out and paid it into future stocks, or you've earned dividends and that money has been paid out. All of that is accumulated here into one go. So that way it gives you a really good idea of how much you've actually made having this account total. Now, if you're somebody who prefers to just see unrealized gains, you can go into your holdings and that information is still available for you. It's just in a different format. Now, if they had it available to be able to switch back and forth between them here, that might be a little bit better for some people. Now, they do have their auto invest turned on. You can have that turned off if you wanted to. The way that works is if you have over $25 in your balance, whether it's paid out from dividends or a deposit, it'll automatically invest that money into your portfolio based off of those targeted percentages we talked about earlier. Now, the really nice thing about this as well is if you have under $25 or you're making your deposit, like I mentioned earlier, you can buy into stocks individually. So you don't have to sit there and wait for the money to get over 25. You can invest as little as $1 that you have in your actual cash balance as well. I believe the lowest that you can transfer into the account is $10, but as long as you have over $1 in your deposit for cash, then you can go ahead and buy into a individual stock. Now, with being able to buy with as little as $1, that means you are owning fractional shares of companies. So if we go into Apple, for example, right over here, you can see we own 45.8517 shares, which means I don't own just exactly 45 shares or 46 shares. I'm right in between both of those numbers because I can buy in small increments, which is a very powerful tool for a lot of beginner investors. And the reason for that is I like to show people right over here, when I started off with that $100. And you can see here over the first couple of months to almost the first year, I was only putting in about $10 a week, give or take. Actually, the first couple of months I ignored it. I just opened the account. But then once I started falling in love with the app, you can see here I started investing more and more. And then I got more comfortable to start adding a lot more money. So starting off with small amounts, but being able to buy in fractional shares was a very powerful tool because being consistent with investing is key to investing, honestly. Like, there's a lot of things that come along with being, an investor, but being consistent is definitely one of those things. So that also gives you the opportunity to start small and then continue to grow as time moves on. Now, of course, you could do research. There's a research tab here, so you can see some news. You can be investing in stocks. You could also do funds. They do also have your own pies, which is what we created, but they also have expert pies if you don't want to do the research yourself. You can go to, responsible investing, planning for retirement, general investing, all these different options that you have, and it'll actually curate those stocks for you so you don't even have to do anything about it. Great way to start out for a lot of beginner investors. They have a watch list if you wanted to do, just pay attention to certain stocks. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can borrow money on M1 Finance with your account. So you can see here, currently we have nothing being borrowed, but you can borrow up to, I believe it's 30% of your portfolio. So you can see here we have $23,000 available if you wanted to either pull that money to invest more, which can be a little, dangerous, or you can even pull that money out and pay other things down, or use it for other kinds of means. Currently, because I have their service called M1 Plus, which is an additional service but not required to have, I get a 2% rate. I believe if you don't have M1 Plus, it's either 3 or 3.5% as of this recording. So if you're borrowing, it is accruing on a daily basis, but you can pay it back at any given time, which is really nice. So there's no set time period. Just keeping in mind when you are borrowing money from your investments, you do need to keep in mind with markets changing, going up or down, to pay attention to that kind of stuff as well too. Now, like most different apps, you can also view your total performance. Obviously, currently it's at our all-time. You can go look over the last year, the last quarter. We can even go over the last month. Like I mentioned, we've been down quite a bit. And you can see over here in the last week, we definitely took a huge hit with our overall gains here. And then we could even go all the way down to the single day as well too. And then it'll also show you your earned dividends over that same time period as well. So like back here in the last month, we've earned $52.23 in that account. Now, one thing some people don't like when it comes to the earned dividends is that those dividends just get put back into your cash balance and get reinvested into your overall portfolio, not necessarily the company that paid out those dividends. To some people, that's not a great thing, but for me personally, I love that. I love that my dividends that get paid out just go back into the portfolio in the companies that are either at the lowest percentage or the ones that I want to invest in manually myself. Now, when it comes to investing with M1 Finance, there's actually only 2 timetables that you can trade with, and that's also based off of the membership you have and the total dollar amount you have. So it can get a little cumbersome on this front, but nonetheless, the really nice thing is for a lot of people who just want to set and forget, don't really pay attention, maybe invest, $50 a week or $100 a month, whatever the case may be. The trading window is whatever time frame it is in your time to the East Coast. So for us, it's 7:30 a.m. as of this recording. And if you have M1 Plus, which is their paid service, you can actually do the afternoon trade, which is at 1 p.m. my time, but also again, it is based off East Coast, which I believe is 3 p.m. Now that feature is for M1 Plus. Like I said, it is a paid service on that front if you wanted to use that, plus some of the other great features that they have with M1 Plus. Now, if you are somebody who does have M1 Plus and are under $25,000 in your account as of this recording, the way it works is you can only choose to do the morning or the afternoon based off of when you make your deposit. So if you make the deposit, let's say, in the early morning or the night before, it'll go in the morning. If you wait until past morning, it'll go into the afternoon trade. If you have over $25,000 in your portfolio, you can pretty much do both trades either in the morning or in the afternoon, as long as you get in before the deadline for that trade to be able to go through. Now, for some people that might not be, really nice because they want to be buying at any particular time. But again, this is not for every type of investor. This is definitely geared towards long-term investors that want to kind of set things up and forget it, not have to worry about things, not be enticed by the market changes to really be investing more or selling off their stocks or doing something different or dramatic. This is somebody who just wants to get things put in place and then have things taken care of for them just by making their weekly, daily, whatever type of deposits they want to do. Now, of course, probably the most important thing is that M1 Finance is actually entirely for free. They do have that M1 Plus feature, which you can pay for, but it's definitely not necessary to just get what you need done when it comes to investing. So trading is entirely free, whether you're buying or you're selling. Having your account open and not doing anything with it is entirely for free as well. And so nothing you do on here actually has a cost for you unless you want to pay for the M1 Plus features, which you can learn more about in the future. Now, if you are somebody, like I said earlier, that wants to sign up for M1 Finance, I will have that link in the show notes down below for you. You get that nice little bonus for going through my link, and it also supports the channel so you can get more free content just like this, which, like I told you earlier, I'm going to have a link right over here so you can actually go step by step in learning how to set up your account either like mine or just understanding how the app works entirely. My name is Dennis, and I'll see you in that next video.